Hey everyone, Harold Fisher here again, anchor and host of the Daily Drum on WHUR. Welcome to another edition of HUR at Home on WHUR.com and all of our social media platforms. Tonight on HUR at Home, we're talking to Calvin Hawkins. He is the new chair of the Prince George's County Council. We're going to talk about all things Prince George's County tonight. Chairman Hawkins, thank you so much for joining the program. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Let's get down to kind of the news of the day, news of the week. As you know, the county executive on yesterday issued an apology to Prince George's County residents for the issue with having outsiders, people who neither worked nor lived in the county, getting COVID-19 shots. Your thoughts about that and how did that happen?
Harold, Mr. Fisher, the county exec followed the lead of our Governor Hogan, when he said because they were federal dollars, we had to allow anyone who registered in the state of Maryland to participate in our vaccination process. But what she's done since she's been in office, the council working with her, she took ownership and responsibility for the snafus and said, we will make it better. And the council, along with the county exec, we are working with her to ensure that we do right by our citizens.
Mm-hmm. Are you surprised at all at the reaction of some people who neither worked nor lived in the county, that they thought it was okay to come to Prince George's instead of their own jurisdiction to get a vaccine?
Oh, they thought it was okay because in their jurisdictions, most of the slots had filled before they had a chance to register there. So they came wherever they could get the shot. So I understood it. I really did. I mean, I didn't have a problem with it. I only had a problem that our residents, Prince Georgians, were not able to get those slots.
Mm-hmm. One of the biggest issues that the county executive has mentioned, that the mayor of the District of Columbia has mentioned, the governor has mentioned, and this really is an issue that stretches beyond our region, and that is how communities of color are still giving so much pushback to taking the vaccine. What are your thoughts about that? Have you had a vaccine yet? If not, are you going to get one?
Harold, I actually had both shots. I had the initial one with the county executive as the chair and she as the county executive. And I had the second one this past Thursday in an attempt with my colleagues to demonstrate to the public, particularly our citizens of Black and brown hue, that we are taking the shots. We are out there doing it. You need to take the shot because we're the ones, particularly Black, we're the ones who are suffering the most, as you said. But we're still working to try to find out how do we get our people to elevate to the point that they're going to take the shot. But you have a lot of medical professionals who look like you and I, who are reluctant to get it. So it's an alarming experience, and I have yet to figure out how to overcome their reluctance to take the vaccination.
Did you have any reluctance yourself at all? Second thoughts, even fleeting second thoughts?
Oh, in all honesty, keeping it 100 with you, Harold, I regretted that as chair, I had to go out on the front line and take the shot because I had reservations myself, but I knew if I were going to believe in the facts and follow the science, I had to do it, and I am glad I did. But initially, yes, I didn't jump to the front of the line to be a part of the vaccination.
Mm-hmm. How did it feel, and how did you feel after your first and second shot?
The first shot, I felt a little sluggish after the first day. Of course, my arm hurt for 3 days. This past Thursday, which they said some of the side effects, you'll have some flu-like symptoms, And I did have them, but they said after 6 hours you could take Tylenols. So I tried to do that to fight back whatever those symptoms were. But here I am 4 days later, ready to move. I'm energetic. I don't have any side effects, and I'm out encouraging as many individuals as I can, particularly people of color, to get the shot, because it's not just about us, it's about the people we come in contact with. You know, if we want to live and those we love we want them to live, we got to take the shot.
Right before I came on with you, I had a conversation with a pediatrician who serves Prince George's and Montgomery, as well as an activist in the Prince George's County community who has a son who is in the school system. And the conversation centered on reopening schools and the difficulties of at-home learning, Zoom school, distance learning, whatever you want to call it, for children. And I know you're on the county council, you're not on the school board, but still, you know, just as a resident, as a member of the political and public servant leadership in the county, what do you think should be done about opening schools in the county? How do you believe that should be done?
Harold, I was very opinionated about that until one of my colleagues who happened to have two kids in the public school system said, "Calvin, do you have kids in the school system?" I said, "No, but we shouldn't be sending our kids back under under this situation." She said, "Well, for my kids, it's about their mental health." And then another council member chimed in who have kids in the system, and they were talking about what they are observing with their kids just being in this virtual setting. And I was surprised. Most of them were very persistent, supportive of their kids returning to school. And I was kind of shocked because I don't think we are at the point where we have our teachers prepared to go back, as well as our administrators and our kids. And I'm just wondering, would this create a spread of the virus as a result of having the kids congregating again in the school environment?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, and honestly, I'm sure there is no easy answer.
mm-hmm.
There is no easy answer, whether you have children in school, whether you are related to a teacher or a teacher yourself. It doesn't matter. This impacts all of us. But and outside of the school situation, as you know, 25% capacity in-person dining starts again in Prince George's County. Your thoughts about reopening the restaurants, balancing safety with trying to keep the business community afloat?
Mm-hmm. I think the county exec and her team made the right decision to open up our restaurants to 25% capacity for dining in. Harold, what we have experienced in Prince George's County, while we saw the numbers going up, we did not want to have our restaurants open. But what we realized was our citizens were going to Anne Arundel County over in Northern Virginia, and they were still going there, and the opportunity or the chance to catch the virus and bring it back to the county was still a challenge and a reality for us. So when our numbers went down below 10%, the county exec, talking to our health officer and her medical team and senior team and consulting the council, thought it would be appropriate to open up to 25%. And we're going to monitor it. And one thing about County Exec Alsobrooks, Harold, as you know, she has the courage to make the right decision, notwithstanding the outcome or the fallout from the business community, etc. And we support her on this. And we're glad that she made the decision to open up the restaurants this Friday to 25% dine-in capacity.
What do you think is the best move, or are the best moves moving forward as the county holistically tries to deal with, with this? Obviously, we talked about schools, and business. What is the next big step from your perspective?
The next big step for us is to become more organized and disciplined in our vaccination of our citizens, as well as be more disciplined in our advertisement of the importance of the vaccination. I think public relations and getting our citizens inoculated are the two challenges that face us.
Mm-hmm. Outside of the COVID response in the county and in dealing with your responsibility moving forward as chair, what's on your plate outside of the pandemic issues that you want to see moving forward in the county?
First and foremost is we're doing a countywide map amendment that we need the help of our state legislatures to authorize us to move forward. It's going to change the entire zoning and how we do zoning in Prince George's County. It will help our businesses. It will help our permit process to have a clear, up-to-date zoning process. And how, believe it or not, changing besides helping our economy rebound, that's what our council will, my other colleagues and I will focus on. How do we get our economy back? But more importantly, what we have learned from this, we haven't invested in our health and human services component of our government as it relates to helping our citizens. So health and human services is going to be one of our primary goals, along with an emphasis on mental health. But last thing I will tell you is constituent services, ensuring that we increase how we respond to our citizens and their concern. That's something our county exec and my colleagues are committed to as well.
Where does that come from your perspective? Obviously, it didn't just come out of the blue. There had to be something that prompted the idea that mental health and dealing with health and human services was an issue.
Because this pandemic caught us with our pants down, quite honestly. We have used grants over the years to support our health and human services. We have, it's like, no one want to believe that we have mental health issues in our county, in our households. And this pandemic really, really amplified the need for mental health response, and not just with the pandemic, but with some of the racial issues impacting our county as it's impacting our country. So I think that's how it came dead at us, and we had to respond, and so we have.
It's interesting because Dr. Fauci several months ago said that mental health was probably going to be the next pandemic issue that the country is going to have to deal with. Finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the search for a permanent police chief. Where is the council, and specifically you, on that issue?
I am all in favor of getting a qualified, competent, community-oriented police chief. I was a big fan, believe it or not, of our former chief, Hank Stawinski, and did not realize a lot of the challenges that I'm hearing about were occurring in our police department. So as I tell you, I'm looking forward to someone that can come in day one and be prepared to move our police department forward and away from where we've been to some place we need to go. And I'll say this lastly on that, Harold, I'm gonna be right there with that person 100%, but I'm gonna be more astute to digging deeper into the institution of our police department to ensure that if there's some signs or signals or there's an officer speaking about something, I'm going to really look into it, not to be critical, but to ensure that I'm being constructive and helping our police department move forward in their efforts to help our citizens and businesses in the county.
I appreciate that transparent comment. Certainly, we always have to keep our eyes open and our ears to the ground in our communities, whether you are a public servant or a citizen. So thank you so much for that comment. Calvin Hawkins, new chair of the Prince George's County Council. I appreciate your time, sir. Thank you so much for talking to me. Absolutely. That is it for this edition of HUR at Home. I'm Harold Fisher. And as always,